Howdy, folks. It's the mouth from the south here. And I know it's been about 2 weeks since the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo has ended. And I needed some time to decompress and breathe and gather some thoughts. But what I wanted to do was a review of the 2023 Houston Rodeo. So I have a list of items here that I want to talk about. And I'm going to run through them briefly. And then we'll start talking a little more in depth about each one. The first thing I want to mention, though, is that I am on one of the committees at the rodeo. There's over 100 committees there. And I'm on the transportation committee, so we help transport people back and forth, usually between the parking lots and the entry gates of the rodeo. But I have since then been promoted, and now actually drive off-site to go pick up the entertainers, band members, and their producers and managers and whatever. We don't actually get the entertainers themselves because the police grab those guys because they need the security, but we get like pretty much everybody else. So since I'm on a committee, I am up there a lot at the rodeo, and we have a special privilege, and we get these gold badges, and these gold badges are given to the volunteers, and they allow you pretty much all access to every event up there. And therefore, I'm able to attend all the rodeo events and the concerts for free, and I get a +1 guest. So it's pretty cool, and that's one of the biggest perks of being a volunteer is you get to pretty much go to everything for free. There was 20 days of rodeo, not counting the barbecue cook-off prior to. But I was up there for 14 days out of the 20 total days there, and that's why I have a bunch of videos up from the rodeo and the concerts. And if you look into my profile here, you will see that I have a folder strictly for Houston Rodeo or any rodeo and concerts, and a lot of them are from the Houston. So before I get going into everything, I would like to ask you to please subscribe to my channel. If you want to go ahead and hit the bell, you can get notifications when I'm posting videos, but you don't have to do that if you don't want all the videos that I'm posting notifications. But please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get paid by YouTube here, and I am about 500 subscribers short. So I need a lot more subscribers, so go ahead and please subscribe to me. All right, what I'm going to talk about in this video, here's a list, and it's in no particular order, but I'm going to talk about all the numbers, not all of them, but a lot of the numbers. Concerts, who was my favorite, traffic, I'm talking about car traffic and foot traffic. My favorite rodeo event, we're going to talk about vendors and the food, the drone light show, dog and pig show, the Born to Buck horse exhibit, the livestock show, talk about the new baby animals, those things are cute. The petting zoos, the boot shiners, security, the weather, our Houston lineup versus San Antonio's lineup of the entertainers. Plus, I'll talk about the carnival and then next year's dates. So that's what this video is going to be about. All right, well, let's get into it. All right, starting with numbers. There was over 2.4 million guests over the 23-day event at the Houston Rodeo, including barbecue. Of those, or not even of those, but it could be outside of those, but we get tallied anyway. There's over 35,000 volunteers that spread across, I think it's 115 committees, but there's well over 100 committees, 35,000 volunteers. So in the 3 days of the World Championship Barbecue Contest, there was 214,903 guests. The paid rodeo and concert attendance reached 1.355 million people. The highest paid rodeo or concert performances from 2023 was on Sunday, March 19th, and that was Luke Bryan. And they said that he had the biggest crowd, which was 74,779. But if I remember correctly, I actually think somebody else had 77,777 because they were trying to get all sevens. But that's what's been reported. may not be accurate. All right, let's talk about a little bit about some concerts here. Now, a lot of people are confused on the times, and sometimes I forget what the times of the concerts are myself. But during the weekdays, the rodeo itself starts at 6:45. The entertainer takes the stage approximately around 9 p.m., and the gates open at 6. That's during the weekday. On the weekends, times change. Everything's moved up a couple hours, about 3 hours actually. So the stadium gates open at 3 p.m., the rodeo starts at 3:45, and then the entertainer will take the stage at 6 p.m. And when the entertainers are on, they run about a 1-hour show. And of all those entertainers, all the concerts that I went to, I recorded pretty much every single song of every single entertainer, and I posted them right here on my YouTube. So if you want to see any of those, go check them out. They're in the rodeo concert folder. Now, my favorite was Brad Paisley, and I will tell you why Brad Paisley was my favorite. I've never seen him before. He put on a really good show. He walked around the grounds twice throughout his concert, and one time he actually even stopped and took a girl's phone and walked a few feet from her, and then turned around and put his phone up and actually took a selfie with her and all the crowd behind him. So it was pretty cool. And then he goes over to her and he says, "Hey, I know you got an Instagram. Where's it at?" And so she shows him her Instagram page, and then he opens it up and walked away from her so she couldn't reach back out and grab her phone. And he created a post on her phone, on her Instagram, and he put his picture that he just took, and he put the caption on there, "Sexy guy." And I have the video of it, so if you want to check it out, go look at Brad Paisley's video. I think it was during the middle of the song "I'm Still a Guy," I believe, if I remember correctly. But it was pretty funny. It was pretty cool. But not only that, that's not the only reason he's my favorite. I mean, he did walk around 2 times when I've seen other people only walk around once. But my biggest reason that he was my favorite is the fact that he brought on active duty military during the middle of his show, and he honored them and gave them beer and water. And it was pretty cool. And then right after he honored the military on stage, he actually brought up our congressman of Texas, Dan Crenshaw, who was a Navy SEAL, and Dan got to play the tambourine for one song. And I also have that video up too, so go check it out. It's pretty cool. And because of him honoring the military on stage, bringing in Dan Crenshaw, walking around the stadium twice, interacting with the fans by doing the girl's Instagram post with a selfie that he took on her phone, that made him my favorite show this year at the rodeo. That was really, really cool. All right, next, the Houston Rodeo committed to $2.178 million to the contestants. So those are all the rodeo athletes. All right, my favorite rodeo event is the bull riding. And it's really like adrenaline packed. It's a high thrill, and I don't hope that anybody gets hurt, but I'm looking for crazy things that happen, like when someone goes flying 5 feet in the air above the bull and lands or falls over the bull, hits them with their horns, because that's always entertaining to watch, and hopefully that none of the guys get severely injured. But there is a bull rider out there, and his name is Jeff Askey. And if he's the same Jeff that I can remember, I'm pretty sure I played Little League Baseball, not with him, but against him when we were kids, because he is from the town next to the town that I'm from. So that was pretty cool to see him out there, if he's the same Jeff that I believe he is. Rip Wheeler, who is Cole Hauser from Yellowstone, if you've watched Yellowstone. Rip actually made an appearance at the rodeo, and he had a little private event that he did, and he had a little fan meet and greet kind of thing. But you had to pay a little over $1,000 or more to be in this VIP tent to do a Q&A with him. But if you didn't have that kind of money and you still wanted to go, you could pay over $100 to get a photo opportunity with him. I wasn't paying that much money, so I didn't go. But I did see the vehicle that he was in as it drove by me when he was arriving, but dark tin windows, you couldn't really tell. But I knew it was him because we were expecting him to show up around that time, and he had a police escort. So we definitely knew it was Rip. So that was the closest I really seen him. He was just in a vehicle that I couldn't see through the windows. All right, this is really cool, and I found this information out. So this thing is called the Star Trail of Fame, and I'm just going to read. I've took a bunch of notes, and I have my notes list right here next to me. That's why I keep looking away from the screen. But legendary performer Brad Paisley was inducted into the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo's prestigious Star Trail of Fame on March 18th, 2023. That's pretty cool, and then he just happened to be my favorite also. So Brad is the 10th star that's honored with a gold plaque to commemorate his years of outstanding entertainment at Houston Rodeo. He has performed at Houston Rodeo ever since 2014, and this 2023 performance marks his 15th overall appearance. That's pretty neat. So, all right, moving on. The Livestock Show, Horse Show, and Auctions. These are some numbers. We're still in numbers, by the way. The Livestock and Horse Show competitions drew in over 35,000 entries. The junior auction sales totaled $22.617 million, and that's unaudited preliminary total, so it could change. And I kind of mentioned that earlier, so that's a lot of money. All right, the next item is there's 8 auction grand champion and reserve grand champions. They set rodeo records, and I'm only going to read the records. I'm not reading all the numbers for everything, but I will read just the record numbers. The junior market barrow, the grand champion, a rodeo record, sold $375,000. Reserve grand champion sold for $320,000. The junior market pen of broilers, grand champion $300,000, reserve grand champion $175,000. The junior market goat, the grand champion was $240,000. That's a lot of money for a goat. $250,000 almost for a goat. The junior market lamb was even more, $350,000. The junior market turkey, the grand champion was $200,000, and then the reserve grand champion was $5,000 less at $195,000. The school arts grand champion won $275,000. Again, another rodeo record. And then the wine, it says the grand champion won $325,000. And that's it for all those grand champions. Now, there is an event called Rodeo Uncorked, which is a wine auction, and it shows that the combined total there raised at the wine auction was $2,795,200. That's almost $2.8 million in wine. A bunch of alcoholics out there. Okay, some more numbers here, and then we'll move on to the next item. The calf scramble and judging contest winners received 374 certificates. Each of them was worth $2,250 to apply towards the purchase of a registered beef heifer or a steer to exhibit in next year's rodeo. The total certificate premiums totaled $841,500. And it says the event awarded an additional $42,000 in cash prizes for Texas youth. So that being said, scholarships and education is pretty much what the whole rodeo is all about, is to really raise money for these kids that are leaving high school, going off into college. It says the rodeo committed $22.5 million to the youth of Texas this year. $14 million of it was in scholarships to be awarded this summer. A little over $5 million to junior show exhibitors. $2.5 million in educational program grants, and almost $500,000 in graduate assistantships. And since the very beginning of rodeo, which started in 1932, the rodeo has committed to more than $575 million to the youth of Texas and the educational program. That's a lot. Okay, that was a lot of information. That was all the numbers. Moving on. Well, there's some more numbers, but I'm not looking at statistics here now, but just fun facts and information. There was a drone light show that they showed every Saturday night during the rodeos, which was on March 4th, 11th, and 18th. And this year was the first year that the rodeo has done that. Each show lasted about 10 minutes, and it utilized 200 drones. They flew these drones above the NRG Arena. And so if you're out front of there, or not anywhere in the carnival, but in that corner of the carnival, you could see the show. It was pretty cool. It was during nighttime, and all the drones had lights on them, and they would go in different motions, different colors, and create like this really cool video. And I actually have a video up of it. I did about a 10-minute video, but in time lapse, which came out to about 40 seconds of a quicker video. So go check that video out too. I have a short on it, which it shows the center of the video, not the width of it. So it cuts off a lot of the front and back. So if you want to see the full video, make sure you look at the long video that's not a short video. They featured the mascot, Howdy, the big H with a cowboy hat on. It featured a cowboy, bull riders, carnival rides, and other things related to the rodeo. Okay, the dog show. That was really cool. It lasted about 15-20 minutes. It was kind of a little overcast that day. There had been some rain out, and so the turf area that the dogs were performing the tricks on was kind of damp, so they couldn't do all the tricks that they wanted to do, but the stuff that they did do was really awesome. These dogs most of them are rescue dogs. I believe their organization was called Extreme Dogs, and they take these rescue dogs and train them, and these dogs are very talented. I do have a video up of that, so be sure to go check out the dog show. That was really, really cool. And it might be muted. I think that part of my video got muted because they had some music playing in the background and the audio picked it up, and they're trying to say that copyright infringement or whatever. So I think they muted it. I fought it, but oh well, you can still watch the show. It's really cool. Those dogs are awesome. Then there was the pig show. They have the little pig races. That was really cool. And they're little cute piglets. They're running around and stuff in a race. That was really cool. That video was also up. My favorite part of the pig race was at the end where they had 4 different pigs and they put a little something over. I don't even know what they're called, but 4 of them had 4 different colleges. 3 of them were Texas colleges, and then there was one that was Oklahoma. So they had the Sooners. They had Texas Longhorns, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech Red Raiders. And you can hear me in the video as they get going. The Aggie pig came out in first place, and after he took his second turn, he started to slow down, and then the Sooner pig took off. And I was like, no, this can't happen. We cannot let a non-Texas team win a pig race in Texas. So I was yelling, and then it was crazy because after they took turn 4, that Aggie pig turned on the jets and just pew to the finish line, and the Aggie pig actually won. But go check out the video. It was kind of cool. Carnival and food. This is a fun subject here. So let's talk about some carnival stuff here. There is some numbers, but we're going to talk about a few other things. There was approximately 2.8 million rides taken during the carnival. The top 5 rides was the XL Le Grand wheel. So that's one of the big Ferris wheels. They also had the Raptor coaster, like a little miniature roller coaster. The Sky Ride, that's where they pick you up on one end of the rodeo, pick you up, and you like just ride across. It's kind of like a ski lift, and you go to the other end of the carnival, so you don't have to walk across or fight the foot traffic that's out there. It was crazy. They have a Crazy Coaster, so another roller coaster, and then they have their Rave Wave. I don't even know what that is, but those were the top 5. There was 125 semi-trucks that were full of Carnival Prizes that was brought into the rodeo this year. Approximately of those, 725,000 prizes were won. The top 5 stuffed toys were a Squishmallow, the ramen pillow, ramen noodles. They had a Bob Ross. I didn't even see that one at all. I did see the Howdy H, which was number 4, and then, of course, Pokemon characters. The top 5 food items. Turkey legs, number 1. Number 2 was fried Oreos. Number 3 was funnel cakes. It says food item, but this number 4 was not a food item. It was actually a drink, and they called it a Michagua. And I think that's an alcoholic drink. It came in like a little clear barrel. It looked like some kind of Mexican alcoholic drink, it looked good, but I don't drink, so I didn't drink it. And then number 5 was a go-to and a favorite of many people, and that was the corn dogs. But I didn't have one because I'm trying to lay off of fried foods. Now, that's what the rodeo reported, but let me tell you about the food items that I tried. And this has nothing to do with the rodeo's list. This is my own personal list. There was a website, chron.com, that's CHRON, and I saw a link come out, and I looked on it and was reading through the top foods and fan favorites, and then there was like even a bad list of don't get these items. And I read through it, and I found this one from Asian Streetness, and this was the number 1 best rodeo food from their list, and it was a Viet taco, and it was actually really good. They had, I think it was pork or chicken, and I had the pork one. It was delicious. Like, I can see why they were number 1, because that taco was amazing. And I think they might be out of Katy, Texas, on the west side of Houston. The next item was the skillet. So there's a place called the Skillet, and they have this huge skillet. One of them is 6 foot in diameter, and they have another one next to it that's 8 foot in diameter. That is gigantic. Anyway, they'll put a bunch of fajita meat on there and potatoes, and I think they even do some veggies, but it's gigantic. I ordered, I believe it was called the Cowboy Burrito. I don't even remember how much it was, but it was worth it because it was pretty good. All right, the next place I ate at, the Alamo Tamales, con queso y chile. So I had chili cheese tamales, and they were delicious. I also ordered some frozen tamales to go, and I brought home, and I ate on those over the next couple days. So if you didn't know that, if you go to Alamo Tamales at the rodeo, you can actually order tamales to go that are frozen, and they're actually a really good deal. I think it's a dozen for like $10 or $11, so that's less than $1 per tamale. So that's pretty good. Then you have Bun B's Trill Burger. And luckily, the time that I went there was nobody in line. I went straight to the front, ordered my food, and within a few minutes I had my burger, and it was delicious. I came back through that area maybe an hour later, and there was over 50 people in that line. I was like, wow, that was like perfect timing. Another place, Fields of Corn. I had some elotes in a cup, so corn in a cup, the Mexican style, and it was delicious. I also ate at a place called the Cajun Cowboy. I think it was last year they won a item. I think it was called the deep fried jambalaya roll. It's like an egg roll, but it's like jambalaya on the inside of an egg roll. Of course, as egg rolls are deep fried, and it was really, really good. This other place I ate at, this is probably where I spent the most money because they're not cheap. The Ranch House, and on the sign outside of there, above where the people walk through, not on their storefront, so to say, it said Texas barbecue and had like a list of items. But I ordered, I call it the barbecue plate, but they called it the Fat Max, and the Fat Max was sliced brisket, pork, and sausage. It was on a bun. I think it was a hoagie bun. It was a lot of money. And it was a lot of food. You get your money's worth, and it was really good. I like that. Between that one and the Cowboy Burrito, well, you get your money's worth for sure. But they were really, really good. But flavor wise, Viet Taco had a really good one. It was expensive. I think it was a $13 single taco. All right, moving on. I did eat at this mobile Greek grill, and on the front it says Greek gyros. That's how I say it in my Texas language, but gyro. Actually, the real name of the facility or that little place, it's right outside the hideout, in between the hideout and the NRG Arena. It's Taverna del Vino out of Plantersville, Texas. That's up by Magnolia. They sucked. I'm not even going to lie. They're freaking gyros, they're gyros, they were horrible. Like, they had like no good flavor. It was overpriced, a $15 gyro, and I got a cheaper Vietnamese taco. It was 10 times better. I will never eat that Greek grill again. It was freaking nasty. And then my last thing that I went and found was actually pretty good. It was a little chilly one day, and I was going to work on a day that I had to work up there. But inside the NRG Center on the east end, not completely far east, but from the east end, it might have been Hall E or D, somewhere near Hall E or Hall D. There's a place called the Stubby's Cinnamon Roll, and they sell hot chocolate. And I'll tell you what, their hot chocolate was delicious. It was really, really good. So on a chilly day, if you need some hot chocolate, to go buy Stubby's Cinnamon Roll. And that's in the main hallway out in the front, not inside where all the vendors are and all the animals are. All right, let's talk about traffic. Here's a subject that just gets on everybody's nerves. But I live on the north side of Houston, and so I drive down. I go down Hardy Toll Road. Then I take 610 for a mile till I get on to 59 South. I drive by Minute Maid Park, and then I got to take the 288 exit down to 610. Now, I take the HOV lane, and I'm pretty good almost all the way through there. It does clog up a little bit by Minute Maid Park, but once you get past, sometimes I would just take the exit and I would drive through downtown, because driving through downtown and coming back on the south side of 59, or right on the north side right there at 59, I would get back on, and it seemed to save about 10 minutes. But it crowded up right there by Minute Maid. And then once I got off the HOV lane and took the 610 west exit, that's where I had the biggest problem, because it was a big bottleneck. Normally it takes me about 45 minutes to get down there to the 610, or as we're supposed to call it, the 610 lot. It used to be pink, but they changed the color. That's the Astro World parking lot. If you know where that's at, it's on the south side of 610, and there's a bridge that crosses over to the rodeo grounds. But normally it takes me 45 minutes to get down there. But each day that I drove down there in the afternoon or later, took anywhere between 1 hour to hour and a half to actually get into the parking lot to park. But the earlier in the day that I went, I could get there in about 45 minutes without the rush hour traffic and stuff. One thing that I hated, and you'll probably agree with me, and if you're one of those guys, you suck, but the people that would be on the outside lanes, not waiting in the line, and wait till the very last minute to cut over in front of people. You're a jerk. I hate people like that. You know, we're all trying to get to the same spot, and guess what? Get in line just like everybody else. Don't freaking cut people off in line because you don't want to wait, and you're only saving like a minute or two anyway. But those people, they tick me off. Anyway, I always parked in the 610 lot, and it was actually hard getting into there. But once you got in there, for me at least, when I got out, it was easy. It was not a long line to get out of that parking lot. I jumped on 610 East to hit 288 North, so like 1 mile. And that was the slowest part of getting out of there because everybody's getting out at the same time. But once I got on 288 North, it was pretty much wide open all the way home, all the way up to Hardy. So it was a lot easier getting out of there than it was getting into there. I don't even mess around with Reed Road or the yellow lots or any of the other transportation ways to get there, whether you do a park and ride or come in on a shuttle. I just drive because I want to be in control of when I leave and not have to wait on anybody else and their vehicles or whatever. All right. After the concerts were over, there's tram lines that would run you from the blue parking lot right south of the carnival across the street to the 610 parking lot. Going over, it wasn't so bad, but when you got out of the concert and you try to wait in that tram line, it was long and packed. And I never went on it in the evening after a concert. I just walked from the Carnival South Gate, which is right outside of the southeast corner of NRG Stadium, and I would walk across to the parking lot across 610, and it only took 7 minutes. 7 minutes was way faster than waiting 20, 30, 40 minutes on a tram to take me over there. And I was out before all those people in line even got over to their parking lot. I was like already halfway home. Anyway, if you do that, I would recommend walking. It's just so much faster than waiting on those lines. That also being said, when you get out of the concert, everyone's trying to go to the same place at the same time out. And if you try to walk down the ramps or the escalators, it's packed. And it takes a while to get out. I highly suggest you go to one of the four corners of the stadium and just hit a staircase and just walk down the stairs. It took me a minute to get over to the staircase because all the people in the stadium, you're trying to wiggle your way through all the foot traffic. But getting to the corners and out was less than 5 minutes versus trying to take a ramp or lines for the escalators, which would take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes to get out. So it was a little bit faster. But the foot traffic, once you got outside in that carnival, gosh, it is a mess. There was people all over the carnival and even around the edge of the Astrodome where all the food vendors are on that little road. It's just packed. There was really no sufficient way to get through there. So I just kind of had to like suck it up and walk my way through and just deal with it. But that foot traffic was sorry. When I did go to Zach Brown's concert, I did get there a little late. And so when I went to the entry gate, it was packed. I've never seen it as packed as it was. People were shoulder to shoulder, front to back, trying to either get on the escalator to go up or up the ramp. And from where they would scan your ticket, or they scanned my badge to let me through. It took me about 25 minutes to get from the entry gate to inside the front door on the 100 level. I've never waited that long. Usually it's 5 to 10 minutes crowd, but that was the most crowded I've ever seen it. Because Zach Brown is very popular, as is a lot of the entertainers. But I would recommend going at least an hour before, or even going in right after he starts. But if you go in anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes before the show starts, you're going to get slammed in that crowd of traffic. It sucks. Just be prepared to wait and have patience. Let's see what else. Okay, so yeah, like all the food vendors, the Trill Burger they had a pretty long line. Like I mentioned earlier, I got in there pretty quick, and shortly after it was slammed. You gotta be patient. But the longest line for food that I waited in was the barbecue line at the ranch house. I was in that line for well over 30 minutes, and it was worth the wait for that big sandwich, the Fat Max that I ate. So it was pretty good. I don't think I'll go wait in that line again, though. Every other time I got food, it was less than 5 minutes. All right, the horse exhibit, the Born to Buck. That's during the rodeo. They will pull the lights down, and they will talk about all these bronking horses. They're born to buck, and they bring them out, and then usually they talk about a great grandma, a grandma, a mother, and then like a granddaughter horse. And they would open it up and have this little cute horse run out, and then they bring in the rest of them. They call them the animal athletes. They had a little exhibit on the east side of the Astrodome, like literally straight due east, but not quite into the carnival yet. So if you haven't been in there, go check it out. It's pretty cool. I do have videos up from when I was inside that exhibit, so go check out the Born to Buck horse exhibit video that I have. Another video that I have up was the new baby animals, like the little piglets and the little sheep. I don't think I took any videos of the cows. They were kind of hidden and hard to see. But there were some little piglets, and they were so cute, as well as the sheep. So go check those guys out. Videos are there. Petting zoo. Oh gosh, if you're in the outside carnival or inside the NRG Center and going to those little petting zoos where you can pay a few dollars to feed them, it was literally so crowded. Every single time I walked by in either one, the outdoor one or the indoor one. So many people in the way, animals all over the place. You try to get pictures with your kids and the animals, and it's just really, really crowded. So if you're going to go in there, or if you've been in there, you know what I'm talking about. Just be patient and just, yeah, it just sucks. It was really, really crowded. I only went in there because my son wanted to go in there, and I took him in there to pet the animals. Outside of that, I stay away from it because there's just too many people in such a confined space. Boot shiners. So I went up there a couple different days wearing a couple different boots, and I needed to get them cleaned up and fixed and shined and all that. And it's $10 per pair. And if you think about, like, you go to a restaurant and you have a server, a waitress, whatever, they serve you just as these boot shiners. They shine you up just like the servers bring you food. And when I asked the first guy, how much is it? He says, it's $10, but we work off of tips. Like as if he's insisting or insinuating that he wants a tip. And I'm like, okay. I said, well, look, all I have is a 20 I have in cash, and I have another pair of boots. So if I give you a tip, then you lose money on a second pair of boots. So I could either pay you $20 and you can shine up 2 pairs of my boots, or I can pay for 1 pair of boots and give you a tip for 1 pair, and I don't get my other pair fixed. But I need my other pair shined. So, sorry, buddy, I'm not going to give you a tip. Also, because you mentioned that you kind of wanted a tip. I've never been to a restaurant where I had their services, here's your total bill, and I also work for tips. It's kind of assumed, that if their server does a great job, then you will give them a good tip. Well, and these guys are basically kind of like, oh yeah, I need a tip. That kind of pushed me away from it. And when I went back, I did have a little bit more cash this time, and I got my second pair shined up. And when I got done, I went to go tip the fella, and I don't remember the exact number of dollars that I had, but I think I gave him a $5, and I said, hey, can I get $1 back? I'll just give you a $4 tip. He's like, really, bro? You want $1 back? I'm like, well, yeah, I need that dollar so I have the exact amount to buy my daughter a drink without having to use my card, because I wanted to pay cash for the drink. So he looked at me like I was taking money from him because I asked for $1 back. And it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I was like, dude, you ought to be grateful that I even came over here and got my boot shine at all in the first place. That's $10 right there that you didn't have. And now I'm giving you 4 more, and you're griping about $1. You're lucky I even gave you $4 as a tip, when I think you didn't even do that great of a job on my boots to begin with. But I was just trying to be nice. I was in a good mood, so I figured, I'll give you $4. I didn't have to tip him though, and so those guys, they just rubbed me the wrong way. And I went to 3 different guys, and I did get the same pair of boots shined up twice, but they just seem like they're real greedy, with wanting money. And it just, you know what, I will not go back to those guys at all. And if I do, they were definitely not getting a tip at all, because they were just kind of rude about it, and if you got your boot shine, you might have had a similar experience, or maybe not. Maybe you had a better dude than I did, but they just seemed like all they cared about was money. Anyway, moving on. Security. Oh my gosh, when you first get there and you got to go to the security gates, preferably go in without a bag, and you can kind of just skip right through. But if you need a bag, you're probably gonna have to stop and wait in line and get your bag checked, which makes 0 sense because there were so many prohibited items that I seen. And I used to work security. I used to work those gates, and the magnometers that are there are to detect metal, but although every single day I went in, I had metal on me, whether it was my badge or my belt buckle, my phone, whatever it was. The magnetometer always buzzed and went off, and I knew that I had metal on me. They never checked me, though. They said, "You're good. Come on in. Come on in." And I tested them one day. I said, "All right, fine. I'm going to bring a pocket knife." And I did. I walked straight through, and they just didn't say a thing. And there was cops right behind them. Although I had my knife, I didn't plan on using it or whatever, but I just was testing them. It was a throwaway knife I didn't really care for if they did confiscate it or whatever. But I didn't see any boxes out there by the gates to put prohibited items in case people didn't want to go back to their vehicles to put it back. I counted so many pocket knives on other people that I saw. Some weren't even pocket knives. I've seen actually pretty big blades on some people's belt buckles, and not knocking the cowboys or the country folks that carry knives on them, because sometimes it's like part of our uniform. We just feel like that. And I was in the military for 10 years, so we always had pocket knives on us. But I'm not knocking those guys, because it just feels natural for us to have knives on us pretty much almost at all times. But these guys, they didn't even care. They just let them through. And I don't think that, I guess, that demographic, we're not going to do anything stupid with a knife. We're not going to go, try to stab somebody or get in a fight and want to, use it as a weapon. It's just something we have, in case we need to open a box or a package or whatever. It's just something we always have on us. But the security, they just suck, man. They just let so many items get through. And what really irritated me one day was the fact that you're only allowed to bring in like one unopened bottle of water. Like, no outside drinks besides that is allowed to come in. And I saw this group of people going through, and they had open drinks, open waters, or even sodas and stuff like that. And then there was like a break, and I saw this from because I went in and I saw the group, and they were finishing their drinks. And typically they make you finish your drinks before you go through, not after you get in. Well, my son had a Gatorade with him, and it was half drinking. And I wasn't even going to try to hide it in my pocket, because I was like, they're just letting everything in, so let's go. Well, as soon as we got to the gate, they're like, that can't come in. I'm like, you just let like 5 people in with drinks. Why are you, picking us out? Because it's the rules. I'm like, so the rules only apply to us, but not all them other people you just let in? He's like, no, it can't come in. He didn't want to argue with me, but I was trying to make a point that we were being singled out. And so I made my son like literally slam his Gatorade so we can get in, which he did, which was just stupid. Security they suck there. Anyway, next item is weather. The weather for the most part was actually pretty great. So we had a pretty good, season this year. So no much complaints about the weather. It wasn't rainy very much at all. All right, and then the final item here is the lineups. And then the dates. So when our lineup, and I say our, I mean Houston, because that's where I'm at, and that's where I work. The lineup came out, and it was a pretty good one. And then shortly before, right after, San Antonio's rodeo, they also had a lineup that came out. And a lot of my people, my friends, were just stating that San Antonio has a better lineup than Houston does. And when I looked at it, I would agree. I'm going to read off these names here and tell you who was where. And just let me know in the comments or something who you think had a better lineup. I think both of them had good performers, but if you had to choose to go to all of these shows or all of these shows, and you had to pick Houston or San Antonio, which lineup would you pick? I would definitely have picked San Antonio for sure. And I actually did go to a few of the San Antonio shows. But San Antonio's rodeo runs through February, so their rodeo was before us. And then, of course, ours was pretty much in March. I'll start off with Houston, though, and I'll work back to San Antonio. And I'm just going to go in order of the dates that they performed. So Houston, first performer was Parker McCollum. He's actually from Houston, the north side, the Woodlands. He went to College Park High School, and that's pretty cool. So he's like a local guy, as is Cody Johnson. but not as local. I think Cody's from Austin. Anyway, after Parker, there was and I went to his concert, by the way. I went to Parker's, and if I mentioned I went to their concert, go ahead and look in the videos because I posted pretty much every song of every performer of all the concerts that I went to. So if I didn't go to it, of course, there's not going to be videos up by me. But if I went, they're there. So Parker McCollum, Brooks and Dunn, Lauren Daigle. She's awesome. She's a Christian artist. She's great. I went to Parker, Brooks and Dunn, and Lauren Daigle. I did not go to Bun B. But on Saturday, I did go to Walker Hayes. And Walker Hayes is awesome, dude. If you went there, you had a good time. If you didn't, go check out my videos. There's two of them. One is a song called Craig, and then there's the other song or not a song, there's another video that leads into the song Craig, and it's called his introduction to Craig. Go watch both of those songs. Craig is a guy who ended up becoming Walker's best friend, and they're actually next door neighbors, according to my research. Because I did look up this guy Craig and see who he was and what he is all about. And he mentions in one of his videos that Walker is his next door neighbor and best friend. So that's how I know that. I did some research. But Walker was basically stating that his wife drug him to church one day, and he didn't want to be there. He was still kind of a little hungover from the night before. And when he first came in, he saw this guy named Craig. And Craig says, hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And Craig can tell on the look of Walker's face that he didn't want to be there, but he was there anyway. And then that's kind of like the start of it. I don't really want to give it away. I want you to go watch the video or go research it yourself. But it's a really good song. Pretty much all the lyrics in there is like his testimony to how he met Craig. And there was a really cool story. It lyrics in the song where Craig donated a vehicle to Walker who refused to take it. And then later on, after, Walker got as big and famous as he did, he returned the favor. Looking on Craig's Instagram, Walker gave him and his wife a vehicle himself because he had the ability to do so. And it was a really cool story. So go check that out. The next band I went to go see was the Zach Brown Band. They were awesome. Jason Aldean, I went there. He was really good. I did not go see New Kids on the Block. I did go to see John Party. He put on a pretty good show. If I didn't choose Brad Paisley, it might have been Kenny Chesney or John Party. They put on a really cool show. I was there the evening of Ashley McBryde, but I did not go to her concert because I was working. The Chainsmokers went there. This next band actually played at both rodeos, so I'll give you a sneak peek into San Antonio. But the Turnpike Troubadours, they went to both, and I didn't go to either one of their shows. Then they had the Go Tejano Day in Houston. They had a band called La Fiera de Ojinaga. I don't know who they are. Then there was Cody Jinks and the Machine Gun Kelly. I did not go see either of those guys. I wasn't in the mood to go see Cody Jinks, and I could care less about seeing Machine Gun Kelly. I worked that day, but when I got off, I actually went to go watch Skillet and Theory of a Dead Man at another venue, and those videos are up, so go check out my Skillet videos and Theory of a Dead Man. Tyler, I think, the lead singer for Theory of a Dead Man. Afterwards, I was actually able to meet the whole entire band. I got pictures with them, no videos, but I did get a short video, Tyler autographing a shirt that I bought while I was there, so that's pretty cool. And the shirt is actually for sale, so if you want an autographed Theory of a Dead Man shirt by Tyler, the lead singer, let me know in the comments, and we'll talk about it. After MGK, I did go to Kenny Chesney. It was a good show. I did go to Chris Stapleton. Now, last year I went to Chris Stapleton. He brought his wife with him, and she actually came out and sang some songs with him, but this year he did not bring her. The next one, I did not go to his, but he is a Texan, Cody Johnson. And during the rodeo, throughout the events, they have some music playing, and especially during the chuck wagon races, between the first race and the second race, there's some music playing. And if you listen to it, you'll hear these words: "Welcome to the show." It's actually a Cody Johnson song. and he wrote it for the Houston Rodeo. So it's pretty cool. Go check out Cody Johnson's song called Welcome to the Show. And then the final one that I went to was Brad Paisley, who I said was my favorite. He was the best because I'm just biased because of the military. And then Luke Bryan was last. I did not go to his because I was actually working that evening, but it was pretty cool. All right, San Antonio. Now listen to this lineup. I'm just going to, okay, I'll just tell you right now off the top. I'll get down to it later, but I did go see Leonard Skinner, and then I also did see Nelly. I don't remember the guy's name, but I know that he was one of the last original members of Leonard Skinner. Actually passed away a few days or a week after that performance. I can't remember his name, but it was actually pretty sad. I'm glad I got to see him live. But I think he was a guitarist, if I remember correctly. So I did see Leonard Skinner. I did see Nelly in San Antonio. I did not see the rest of this list that I'm about to read off to you, but I will say if I go to them, or if I would have gone to them, or this is why I chose San Antonio's lineup better than Houston's lineup. Ryan Bingham, he's actually Walker from the show Yellowstone. He's actually a real country singer. Not only does he play in the show, but that's actually what he really does. So I would have went and watched him. Then there's Jake Owen, would have went to see him. Carly Pierce, I care less. Midland, I would have went. William Beckham, I don't know who that is, so I definitely wouldn't have cared for him. Ronnie Millsap, an older country singer, I would have went to see, as well as these next ones I'm about to mention. Tracy Byrd, Lee Brice, Alabama, Randy Rogers Band, Brett Michaels, Keith Urban, and Dwight Yoakam. Their Tejano Day was Los Tigres del Norte, which is basically the Tigers of the North, or the North Tigers. I don't know who they are, so I wouldn't have seen them. Definitely would have went to go see Clay Walker. I would have definitely, probably in this entire list, this is my favorite, I would have went to go see is Cole Swindell. His dad was a veteran, I believe it was Air Force, and his song, You Should Be Here, I absolutely love that song. It reminds me of my grandpa. I kind of wish that my grandpa was still alive and wish he was here. So anyway, I love Cole Swindell, and we have the same initials. Then there's Turnpike Troubadours, Leonard Skinner, Nelly, and then this next band, I don't know, Flatland Cavalry. I'm guessing they're a Christian band because of the name Cavalry. Haven't heard of them, but I'll have to look them up. And then the final guy was Gary Allen. I definitely would have went to go see Gary Allen. Houston, we had 20 entertainers. San Antonio had 21. And you just heard of everybody that I've seen or would have seen. But who do you think had the better lineup, Houston or San Antonio? I'm going with San Antonio. All right, and then the last item when we're done here is the dates for next year. The website, the Houston Rodeo website, had said that next year, 2024, will start the barbecue cook-off on February 27th, and then after a few days, I'm sorry, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Is the barbecue championship contest. And then on the 27th starts day one of Houston Rodeo, and will run through March 17. So I know that was a lot, but if you're still in the video, I appreciate you sticking in to the end. I greatly appreciate it. And please don't forget, go subscribe to my other videos. They're nowhere near this long. This was just a review video. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good day. We'll see y'all later. And peace.